Scarred for life, a warning about the long-term harm to children of domestic abuse victims.
If they weren't happy or if they were upset with something, they would lash out or hit something, or the same kind of behaviours, which is not, say, normal for a child to do.
Welcome to BBC Channel Islands News. I'm Luxmy Gopal. Also tonight, better off in Britain than Guernsey? One athlete says qualifying for the Commonwealth Games isn't a level playing field. The Jersey Women's Refuge is seeing on average 5 new victims of domestic violence a week. And with half of all cases involving children, Domestic Abuse Awareness Week is focusing on the impact on young islanders who witness abuse. Our reporter Julie Flanagan has been to meet one woman, who we're calling Sarah, who shared her experience.
Physical abuse started when my youngest child was born.
For many children in Jersey, childhood is blighted with anger and aggression. For Sarah, violence became a regular part of family life.
The times between the physical abuse happening got shorter. It would happen and then it would be really nice, brilliant family time for some time after, and then it would happen again. It ended up in my oldest child being assaulted.
The aggression children see at home can affect their personalities and behaviour.
I only noticed the changes that had happened once my ex-partner left, and they were quite physically violent themselves. If they weren't happy or if they were upset with something, they would quite easily lash out.
In the past 12 months, 59 women and 37 children stayed at Jersey's Women's Refuge. The staff help children leave behind the trauma of living with violence.
If we can support children and let them open up and share with us their experience, we can then start to work with them to share tools and ways of dealing with conflict and dealing with anger that are healthy. And that then means that they walk into adulthood equipped to approach relationships in a healthy way.
Jersey police say violence at home can make unacceptable behaviour seem normal.
Evidence shows that children who are exposed to domestic abuse will suffer psychological and emotional impacts later on in life.
Fort Regent is lit up purple this week to shine a light on domestic violence and to stop young lives being ruined. Julie Flanagan, BBC Channel Islands News, Jersey.
In other news, planning permission's been given for new schools on the site of Lamar de Carteret in Guernsey. It paves the way for a new high school for up to 1,000 pupils, a new primary school, nursery and sports complex, as well as a communications and autism centre. But while plans for the £64 million project have been approved, it'll only be built if the state agrees to pay for it. There's been a rise in the number of fires in Jersey, in particular house fires. Jersey Fire and Rescue says the increase has been gradual since 2008, but there's been a clear upward trend. In the past 5 years alone, the service has dealt with 268 fires in the home.
Jersey's population is growing, it's ageing, it's getting bigger and busier in some ways. And also I think that to some extent there may be some recessionary effect there. When things are harder financially, fire and the risk of fire perhaps is lower down on people's list of things to worry about.
A former Guernsey resident who went missing while flying a vintage plane across Africa is reported to have been found alive. A search and rescue operation was launched after 72-year-old Maurice Kirk disappeared on a 3-hour leg from Sudan to Ethiopia. Organisers of the Vintage Air Rally say he's been safely located. Next tonight, a former Olympian says it could be easier to represent Great Britain than Guernsey unless tough qualifying standards change. Dale Garland says if targets set by the Guernsey Commonwealth Games Association stay as they are, athletes who should be at the Gold Coast Games in 2018 could end up missing out. Roisin Gorson reports.
Walking out at the Commonwealth Games, an honour and a dream for many of the sportsmen involved. But the next Games, in Australia's Gold Coast in 2018, could see fewer athletes in the ranks if strict qualifying times remain. Take the 100 metres, for example. To reach either the A or the B standard, you'd have to beat the island record. One former Olympian says it's a step too far.
They are world-class times in order to get through. Some of the times, men's sprints being the main one, actually it's easier to qualify for Great Britain in the European Championships last year than it is to qualify for Guernsey.
There is a loophole though. If you're ranked in the top 30 in England, then the times don't apply. Ironically, that could lead to a drop in standards in some cases.
There aren't actually 30 people who did women's steeplechase last year, only 24 people did it. So if you use that as a criteria, you need to be in the top 30. You could literally go tomorrow, you could run it, and you would be in the top 30 in England, and you would, in effect, under that criteria, qualify for the Commonwealth.
The Guernsey Commonwealth Games Association, which sets the targets, says discussions are ongoing and it would be inappropriate for them to comment any further at this time. Unless things change, some of Guernsey's top runners could miss out, while weaker athletes qualify. Roisin Gawson, BBC Channel Islands News, Guernsey.
People in Alderney go to the polls on Saturday to select 5 new States members. Some of the issues on voters' minds include air travel and the Fab Link, a power cable connecting to France.
It's very important that I know what they are standing for and how they approach the argument about Fab Link.
We need better air links, definitely. And anybody who's going to help us get those, I would definitely vote for.
They're all pulling the same way as far as air links goes. We know that something's got to be done, but nobody has any quick answers.
In a few hours' time, Jersey's Phil Sharp will set off on a record-breaking attempt. He's sailing from the Isle of Wight to France, hoping to become the world's fastest cross-channel sailor. Not only is it a big sporting challenge, it's also one close to his heart, as Emma Chambers explains.
This was the moment Phil Sharp became a world record holder, arriving into John O'Groats as the fastest person to sail the length of Britain. Now, almost a year later, the Jersey sailor is attempting to break another record, one that's a bit closer to home. He's sailing from Cowes to Dinard to become the world's fastest English Channel sailor.
Oh, this is much more of a sprint, this journey. It's going to be horrendously intense for the whole duration of the crossing, and it's going to be a lot shorter. So this one is going to be cold and it's going to be wet and windy, but I'm hoping to try and do it in sub 12 hours in order to get the record.
If he achieves this, it will be the first time a new record has been set since 2004. But getting to the start line in the Isle of Wight has been a challenge in itself.
It's a mission getting the boat over here between all these depressions, and we actually sort of hung onto the coattails of Storm Angus to get over here. And unfortunately the wind has just turned from the southwest to the northeast, which we've been waiting for quite a while.
Although these conditions may help him gain the title, he won't be the first in his family to sail the route.
My grandfather Roy Balash and my grandmother Helen actually raced this 13 times, and they won in 13 times. They won 11 Cowes Dinard races. But I'm very, very keen to try and carry on his successes.
Set to leave at 6:30 tomorrow morning, Phil hopes the 7 to 8 winds forecast will help him break another world record. If not, he says he'll be back out on the water again this winter to secure the title for Britain. Emma Chambers, BBC Channel Islands News.
So Phil's hoping for strong winds to help his record attempt tomorrow, but you probably don't want it quite so wet and windy, especially if you're going to St Heliers Christmas lights switch on. So here's Bea to tell us what the weather's up to.
Hello, good evening. Once again, we've had a fairly blustery day across the islands, but the winds will actually pick up as we head through tonight and into tomorrow. Most of the showers are starting to clear out of the way now, so I think tomorrow will be dry and bright, but those winds will tend to pick up. Now, today we've had a lot of cloud across the islands, and this has been down to this weather front. It has been bringing a few showers over the last few hours, and we do run the risk of catching a few more for the next couple of hours, but it should dry out towards dawn. Now, by Thursday, we've got high pressure to the north, low pressure to the south, and that does mean the isobars are fairly tight together. So tomorrow, I think it will be dry with some brightness, but staying on the windy side. Very little change, actually, as we head through Friday. Staying windy. I think we'll see a little bit more sunshine on Friday compared with tomorrow. The weekend itself, I think we'll see a lot of cloud trapped underneath that high. So largely cloudy, largely dry, but crucially lighter winds than recent days. Out there at the moment it's fairly blustery. We have got some showers, most of which are starting to clear away, so I think for the rest of tonight it should be dry. The strength of those winds will stop temperatures from getting too low and the cloud from getting too low as well, so one or two spots could dip down into single figures, down at 8 or 9 degrees. And that does mean tomorrow it is going to be a blustery day. Those winds continue to pick up as we head through the day, coming in from a northeasterly direction. I think it will be dry, starting off quite cloudy, but most of the cloud will start to break up in places. So some sunshine come the afternoon, and if you do get a bit of shelter from the wind, I think it could well feel quite mild. One or two spots could hit 13 degrees. So actually it's largely dry as we head through the coming days. Friday again, I think we'll see a breezy day, a little bit more sunshine on Friday compared with tomorrow. A lot of cloud though for the weekend, particularly Saturday, but those winds will be a little bit lighter. Have a good evening.
That's it from me. Good night.